Guys, my favorite time of the year has officially arrived. We're in spooky season now, and I just realized this ain't gonna cut it. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna make some changes. One moment. Yeah, you can bet your ass I got myself a pumpkin spice latte. Oh my god, that was so dumb, but you know, I'm keeping it in. Finally, my favorite time of the year has officially arrived, and that is spooky season, aka Halloween time. September, October time has always been the time of the year that makes me feel the happiest. I feel like a kid again at the time of year because, I mean, not only do I love, the horror genre, whether it's horror games, which we'll be talking about momentarily, horror movies to which as well. Halloween Horror Movies 2024 is right on the corner, which I can't wait to show you guys what I've been cooking up for you guys ever since, February of this year. But otherwise, there's just something about the fall aesthetic that I've always loved. But then again, now, also, really quick, for those of you who've known me for a while will know that I have lived in Florida since I was about 9 or 10 years old, but I used to live in Georgia, a state where we actually went through the season. Seeing in the neighborhood, by the way, where I lived and where the colors changed, all the kids going trick-or-treating when I was a kid, there was something about that tone, the vibe, the aesthetic that has made me feel like, man, I love this. To say that I'm excited for this particular spooky season is such a huge understatement. For those of you who couldn't tell, I actually have a spooky season set up for the very first time of my life. And you know what? It may not be much, but you know what? Man, it makes me feel like a freaking kid again. Before I continue on with today's video, I just wanted to say welcome to my channel, everybody. For those of you who are coming by my channel for the very first time, be sure to hit the subscribe button to miss a future video, or it's a future review, reaction, top 5, or whatever I have coming your way, and join me on my journey to 10K subscribers and beyond, because believe me when I say this, guys, you are not gonna miss the cool shit I have coming your way. And for those of you who are coming back to my channel, welcome back, guys. You have no idea how happy I'm to see your faces once again. With that being said, guys, before we talk about the picks that I chose for games I've been playing since we're at the start of the month, let me get a quick sip of my pumpkin spice latte in. These things truly be around all day, all time, all around, every year, just like all year round, because man, pumpkin spice lattes are the shit. And you know what? I might be called a basic bitch. I love this shit, enough said. A couple of things just to let you guys know, I did do a video like this last year where I chose 10 games I like to play during spooky season. I was really proud of that video. Link is in the description below. I had a lot of fun making that video, but these videos as well are inspired by videos that Jake Baldino has done, a guy who I love watching on YouTube, but he's also done his picks for spooky season. He's done this now for like what? I'm hoping that he's going to do one for this year. So guys, not only check out my previous year's video, but also check out his videos. Just period, he's a really cool guy. But anyways, let's stop rambling. Let's get into my picks, guys. This year, unlike last year, I didn't choose 10 games, although I could have easily chosen 10 games, but I only wanted to choose a select number because I wanted to have more time talking about fewer games and having less time talking about 10 games. So I chose essentially 6 games with 1 DLC. Let's talk about the first game up on my list, and that is Allan Wake 2. Allan Wake 2, like I mentioned in my best games of 2023 video, that was my favorite game of last year. Among the reasons why I love Allan Wake 2, I mean, there are plenty of reasons why, other than just the fact that for me, it was worth the, over 10-year wait for that game. I mean, I remember that anytime that Allan Wake 2 is mentioned, or even there's like any game that Remedy was making, that sound like was just going like, well, we want to make the game, but we don't have the funds to do it right now. This game is not only so great on a narrative level, but it is that game that is just perfect to get yourself into that spooky season Halloween time. And not to mention as well, guys, the art direction of this game is absolutely incredible. The way how this game as well uses, video game graphics with live action footage, I thought was absolutely fucking brilliant. There are just so many bits of Allan Wake 2 that are not only just so great Halloween wise, but if you're looking for a game in October, just a great narrative experience, look no further. And I know the Night Springs content is coming out, at least the last bit of it in October, to which that reminds me I need to get that upgrade for the deluxe edition so I can actually play the DLC, because from what I know, the next DLC I believe you do play is Allan, although I have not played the first DLC, to which I will be getting really at the start of next month, because I really want to see how that first DLC goes. Something that I absolutely love, and not just video games but the real world, are just really just forests. This is really random, just bear with me, guys. When I was growing up in Georgia, I lived right by a forest, and I think because I lived right by a forest, I've always had a fondness for forests and running through the woods. And Allan Wake 2 is a specific bit where you're trying to, as Saga, by the way, which, by the way, I loved both Allan's and Saga's storylines in Allan Wake 2, but anyways, get back to the point, guys. There is a specific point in Allan Wake 2 where you're at this old folks home, and just outside of it, in the pitch black darkness, are these woods. And there's a point in the game where I swore to God to you guys, I was just going to go back out there and explore the woods. The woods, and yes, I mean this when I say this, the video game woods, pixelated woods, looked so terrifying that I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back inside. There is also a specific part in Allan Wake's campaign or his storyline where he goes into this hotel, and for those of you who have played the game, you'll know that when Allan Wake gets to a certain point of the game and trying to get further in the game, he can actually write bits of a story as a way to to get further in a certain type of a mission that he is in. And in this specific part of the game, there is a part where you can rewrite a story pitch called The Devil, or just called Devil. And holy crap, these bits of the game are fucking scary. Like, again, this is a game that, for me at least, not only lived up to my expectations, but exceeded them, and I can definitely see this being amongst my favorite survival horror games of all time. Allan Wake 2 is essentially Remedy doing their version of a Resident Evil remake, but putting the Remedy touch with the Remedy storytelling and the Remedy writing, and what you have here is a game that I genuinely hope will go down as one of the greatest survival horror games ever made. It is just that good. The next game I want to talk about here may not be a spooky season thing, but for me, the reason why I play this game, or at least I try to play it every October, just every spooky season, is because not only is it because the creature design and the overall vibe, but also because of the music. If you guys remember correctly, I talked about a game called Metal Hellsinger, which again I highly recommend because it is such a fun first-person rhythm game that I actually still play pretty much all the time. But this is a game that before I even played it, I had no idea what it was, and a friend of mine was saying, dude, we need to check out this game. And that game is called Brutal Legend. Brutal Legend is a game that may not necessarily be a spooky season type of game, but for me personally, the reason why this game is on this list is because not only, I mean, as you guys can imagine, when it comes to my music taste, I love hard rock, metal, heavy metal, and all that stuff. And to me, certain heavy metal music really does relate to Halloween, but just the overall aesthetic of Brutal Legend. Not only if you want a really cool narrative experience, but if you're a massive fan of rock and metal, this is the game for you to play. And not to mention as well that this game is so much fun. It has a killer soundtrack, seriously, one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in a video game. Jack Black voices the main character, Eddie Riggs. I mean, I love this character, and not to mention as well, Tim Curry voices the main villain, and have a bunch of rock legends in this game. Like, for example, Ozzy Osbourne is playing a character into which you upgrade your hot rod. How brilliant is that? If you look at the overall world of this game, it feels like a world that comes specifically out of like a 1980s metal album, like for specifically, like, let's just say an Iron Maiden, a Judas Priest, or even a Metallica album record. When I replayed Brutal Legend this year, and it's made me think, you know what? This may not be your typical choice, but for me, It absolutely works. If you have never played Brutal Legend, I highly recommend you at least give it a shot. It is on PC and it is playable, by the way, on Xbox Series X, which is how I was able to play it. I mean, I could play it on my PC, but I only use my laptop for streaming and recording gameplay footage. But really, play it on Xbox Series X, and my god, it holds up very well. But I will say right now, the one bit of this game that does not hold up is that RTS, the real-time strategy mechanic. I don't know why that thing was in there. I mean, I completely get why it was in there, but that thing in terms of controls and execution was easily the weakest part of the game. But otherwise, if you're able to get past that bit, what you have is just a fun, funny, spooky season game that may not be really spooky per se, but again, in terms of overall music and vibe, I definitely think that Brutal Legend, for me at least, it works. This game, for me, the reason why I have it on here is because this game was actually my introduction to one of the most famous FPS franchises of all time, and that is Doom. Specifically, you guys are gonna, I don't know how you're gonna react to this, but specifically, Doom 3. Doom 3 for me, yes. This game for me was my introduction to the Doom franchise because I never played Doom 1, 2, or 64 until after I played Doom 3. For those of you who have played Doom 3, you will all know that Doom 3, at least at the start of this game, is a departure in terms of style and gameplay from the first two Doom games. It definitely gets to that no-holds-barred feel where you're going around like a commando with a bunch of guns blasting demons away, I would say, in the second half of the game. But in the first half of the game, this game in that first half is a survival horror game. And my god, it is an atmosphere and a tone that legitimately, at times this year, freaked me out. The scares in this game, even though a lot of the scares are really, they're jump scares, but at the same time, man, the overall atmosphere, the sound design, the creature design, oh my god. There are bits of this game that generally did freak me out, and there are some great jump scares as well, but there is something I want to mention right here. One of my biggest criticisms with Doom 3, why the heck did id Software nerf the shotgun in this game? id Software games have like some of the best shotguns in video game history, and the fact the shotgun here was kind of worthless? Why? Otherwise though, this game is spooky, it's intense, and again, it has great sound design, a great atmosphere, a great vibe to it all together, and there's a part of this game where you legitimately going to hell. How is that not more Halloween? I'm just saying. When it comes down to the next two games, I'm smiling a lot because when it comes down to these two games, specifically, these two games that I chose here pretty much personify spooky season, at least for me personally, besides Allan Wake 2, but these two games right here are like the things that match the overall vibe for Halloween. Let's go into the first game of these two games. The first one being, I want to bring some attention, bring the spotlight on the Dark Pictures games, the Dark Pictures anthology games, you know, Man of Medan, Little Hope, House of Ashes, and Devil in Me, which I actually need to finish Devil in Me. My buddy Gary and I actually streamed Devil in Me, but I never really finished it, and I'm really looking forward to Directive 8020, by the way, next year. The one I want to focus on here is Little Hope, which is personally my favorite game of the Dark Pictures anthology. And this just might be a biased thing, but the fact that this game is inspired by the Salem witch trials. Now, for those of you who don't know me personally, let's just say, an obsession with the witch trials, also because, a little fun fact for you guys, this might blow your minds, it still blows my mind just thinking about it. My ancestors were involved with the Salem witch trials. I'm not making why I say this. When I found that out, I was just going like, you gotta be kidding me. Ever since then, I've been wanting to visit Salem. I was actually supposed to go to Salem, no joke, last week, but unfortunately something's happened, which I won't go into, but hey, there's always a next time for it. Anyways, let's get into it. Now, for some out there, some people may say that House of Ashes or even Man of Medan or even Devil in Me might be their favorite of the Dark Pictures games for them. For me, it's Little Hope. The twist ending of this game, I know it's been polarizing to some people, but for me personally, I love the twist ending. I really think that it was such a cool holy crap moment. This game for me, it combines a couple of things I absolutely love. One of them is the overall history of the Salem witch trials, and the next thing I gotta mention, silent freaking Hill, and in some ways actually Blair Witch Project, but mainly The Witch Trials and Silent Hill. If you guys saw last year's video, you will all know that I absolutely adore Silent Hill, especially Silent Hill 2, and I am looking forward to seeing how the remake plays out when Silent Hill 2 remake comes out. But anyways, we're talking about Little Hope. When I look at and play Little Hope is just that game for me that when I look at the overall atmosphere, the tone, the story, and the multiplayer aspect, because you can play this game multiplayer, by the way, as well. But not to mention as well that Will Poulter voices the lead character. He voices, like, essentially, he's like the guest actor or the guest star of the game, I guess you can say, out of all the Dark Pictures games. A Little Hope for me is just that game, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, when it comes to, by the way, Supermassive, Gary and I will be streaming Until Dawn a couple of times next month, so look forward to that. I'm looking forward to doing that. And Gary and I actually did stream Little Hope twice, and the first one we streamed did one of my favorite times ever streaming as a moment that I have to share with you guys. I'm not gonna say anything, but just roll the clip.
You know what? You want to know a real rule? Not just in video game, not just a game, but a reality. Don't ever fuck with voodoo dolls.
Nope. Whoa. Jesus. Yup.
You fucking little bitch!
I had to stop myself from laughing so hard. I mean, that is legitimately one of my favorite times ever streaming a video game. I love this game, but really I just love the overall tone, and I love the overall vibe that Little Hope brings. And that's the reason why it's one of the two games I'm talking about now to fit the overall thing of why I love Halloween time. I did not have a PS1. I had a PS2, and when I got a PS2, that's why I started to play PS1 games, and there is one particular game, it makes me feel like a kid again. It's very nostalgic for me, but I decided to replay both the original and the remastered edition. I gotta tell you all, the next game that I love, that's Medieval. For those of you who have not played Medieval, Medieval is a game that is just so good. It's a game that I really do think that kids, teenagers, and adults can play. You play as a person, a skeleton coming back from the dead in this game that literally has every single aesthetic known to spooky season. Pumpkins, scarecrows, the creature design, just the overall map, the level design, and not to mention as well, the art direction, the music. I mean, if they ever made this into a movie, Medieval would make for a perfect stop-motion animated film made by either Tim Burton or Henry Selick. I mean, can you imagine that? A medieval movie, a stop-motion medieval movie made by either Tim Burton or Henry Selick and made for spooky season time? How perfect would that be? It is kind of tough, especially the remaster. Oh my god, the remaster is actually really tough. I mean, there are some bits of the game where I was just going like, I remember this game being that tough. The original release is on PS4 and PS5, which you're going to see the gameplay. And I did actually get gameplay of the remaster and the original version. And don't get me wrong when I say this too, guys. The remaster version looks incredible. I mean, it looks great. It plays very, very smoothly. And there are some bits where I was just like, God dang, this game is... wow, this looks good. There's just something about that original release that it's just so near and dear to my heart. If you have not played Medieval, I mean, you could play either version, but I just personally choose the original version only because there are a couple of bits in the original version that just have this charm that the remaster, even though, don't get me wrong, I'm going to say this once again, the remaster looks terrific. It is a great looking game, but just there is this charm in the original version that the remaster cannot do those updated graphics. And that reason alone, I'm going to recommend the original version, even though you can play the remaster and it plays great. But for me personally, because of nostalgic reasons, I'm going to choose the original version of it. I mean, not just that, because I also do think that in some regards, the original version does play better than the remaster. But regardless, you can play either game, really. It doesn't really matter. But for me, I'm just going to play the original because I love the original game so much. Medieval is perfect for that matter. Oh, God. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. When it comes down to the last game, because the last thing I want to talk about is DLC, but anyways, the last game that I'm mentioning isn't necessarily a good game per se, because let's be real, if you play this game, it's a terrible game. But with that being said, this is one of those games that is just so bad, it's good. It's essentially is the room for video games. And for those of you who have known me for a while, and for those of you who have seen me stream this game, especially during quarantine time, you will know what I'm talking about. Next game I'm talking about here, I'm doing it. Night Trap. For those of you who have never played Night Trap, I highly recommend you give this game a shot. This game actually came out, I believe, on the Sega CD. It was one of those full motion games where it was interactive, and essentially it's a game. What you're watching is essentially a straight up terrible B movie. And at the same time, you're playing a game in which you're catching these vampires or augurs. Play this game with a bunch of friends. Don't play this game by yourself, even though it is fun, but play this game with a group of friends, and I'm telling you all, you'll have such a great time laughing. This game to me has one of the funniest screams I've ever heard in a video game, especially for the acting. This is a game that is perfect for parties. It is a perfect game to get together with a group of friends on a Halloween night or just on an October night, late night session. Play this game, and I'm telling you, you'll have such a great time. And I will say this right now, the game does have a catchy theme song. When you play this game, you're gonna have a great time just laughing your ass off and saying, "Go get the freaking augurs!" I'm telling you guys, I'm gonna implore you guys right now, get this game on PS4. I don't know if it's on Xbox, but I know it's on PS4. Get the game, get a bunch of friends together with you, and just be ready for one. Just essentially the room of video games. That's all I'm going to say about that. Give this game a shot. The last thing I'm going to talk about here is DLC. And to me, it is one of the greatest DLCs ever made. You guys know what I'm about to say. Red Dead Redemption's Undead Nightmare. Oh my god, this DLC had me obsessed. And by the way, Rockstar, how come you never made Undead Nightmare 2 for Red Dead 2? That would have been so freaking awesome. But you know what I will say? If I only have Undead Nightmare for the rest of my life, so be it. Red Dead Redemption to me is one of the greatest games of all time, and knowing that they made a zombie DLC for it made me so happy. And here's the thing, guys. The DLC, for I remember, is actually a rather short DLC. It only takes like maybe a couple of hours to beat it, but I'm telling you guys right now, if you're looking for just fun, short, and just something that is just in the tone of Halloween, if you love zombie games, if you love Red Dead Redemption, and if you love just Rockstar period, this is a game that I highly recommend you guys play. Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare is the perfect just appetizer of a DLC for a game that if you just want to get right into that vibe immediately, play this game. It's a lot of fun. I love the color palette of the game, of the DLC, and just blasting a zombie's head off in this game. It is still so satisfying. But before you even think about playing the DLC, please play the game itself, the story, because seriously, Red Dead Redemption to me is still, let's say, one of my favorite games of all time. It's actually the game that made me pay attention to Rockstar. It is a good game. The game and the DLC are perfect together. Play both games and just get ready as well for just a fun zombie experience. It is a fun DLC. It's great. That's gonna wrap it up for 7 more games. Well, technically 6 in a DLC for games that I played during spooky season. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know below, guys. What are some games that you played during Halloween time during spooky season? Let me know below, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, please hit the like button, or if you dislike the video, hit the dislike button. If you guys want to see my previous 2 videos, please click right there or right there. And of course, until my next review or video goes live, I will see you all next time.